What do you say, everybody? It's time for Monday Night Quarterback here on Bama Insider, the Alabama rival site. Got a great crew for you tonight. We got Kyle Henderson, we got Trey Yanity, Tony Sukalis, and I'm Mick Gillespie, and we're going to talk about Alabama football. Look, normally we recap Alabama's game, and then we talk about what happened in the SEC. We can talk about what happened in the SEC, but Alabama didn't play last week, Kyle. I mean, they were on the the COVID bye list, which means that their game with LSU was postponed. Hopefully, from what I understand and what you understand, we're going to play this football game. But last week was the second straight week that Alabama hasn't played.
Yeah, it's been unfortunate just because there's been, we got to this point. Alabama is now 6-0 on the season, ranked number 1 in the country. And now, they've had 2 back-to-back bye weeks. Listening to Ed Orgeron today, he wants to play this game, or at least he says he does. I've heard that they're going to somehow make this game up. We've kind of kicked that back and forth, but it hasn't been official by the SEC. So we're still kind of awaiting confirmation, that game will in fact be rescheduled. Now there are some dates that could align where those 2 teams do play, but it's nothing official yet. So just for now, let's just hope that we get to this Saturday for Alabama and Kentucky, because as you've seen today, there was more games that were postponed going into the weekend. And that's just kind of the world that we're living in right now. So it's kind of day by day. But, after listening to Nick Saban speak along with Mark Stoops, and you can watch both of those press conferences in their entirety at Bama Insider, it looks like we're pushing forward to the next college football game, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, and it looks like, like you said, Kentucky played Vanderbilt. They beat them this weekend, so they're not dealing with COVID. And Alabama has a few cases, but, Tony, those aren't going to impact the regular starting lineup.
No, it doesn't. From what we're hearing, it doesn't seem so. Nick Saban wasn't going to get into names. Some of the things we're hearing, it doesn't seem like any of the marquee players. We're not going to get into names either, but I think Alabama is going to be more or less ready to go for this Kentucky game. And look, they're 30-point favorites. It shouldn't be too challenging of a matchup for Alabama when you look at the way that these teams stack up against each other and the talent on both sides. But it'll be great for Alabama to get back on the football field. They were ready to go last week, so they're all healed up, and now it's more of a mental thing for Alabama moving forward. It's just kind of getting back in the mental swing of things. A lot of these guys, they're not used to having and no one really is used to having multiple weeks off in the middle of the season. So this is new on everyone.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Trey, you're a student at Alabama, part of our crew. What have they done at the university to kind of deal with COVID?
I think the efforts early on were definitely evident. I think they're still there, but nothing's really changed as it's kind of reheated up. A good bit of the students and the team early on and, the whole return to school COVID process got the virus. So there's that kind of, herd mentality for a little bit where it's like you have a certain population of the students that have had it, that have the antibodies, that can't give it. Maybe the other population won't. They started doing random testing, I know, probably about a month ago. Just kind of sampling around, seeing who's got it, who doesn't around campus. So I think it's been pretty contained for the most part. They still have rapid testing. They still have, testing for students, athletes, faculty, staff at Coleman Coliseum at all times. So, they're taking the precautions, but I think it's just about keeping your head down. You still see the plexiglass everywhere in class, still, have to wear your mask on campus everywhere else. It's been safe, definitely, throughout this process. But I got to say, I haven't noticed maybe any kind of ramp up since it's reignited here in this last week.
Well, we hope that continues. I mean, the last thing any of us want is not to have college football right now. And we didn't have it in Tuscaloosa or in Baton Rouge, I mean, obviously. And there were 4 games total in the SEC that were canceled. But they did play 3 games. And so that's a good thing, right? They played 3 games. One of them was Florida and Arkansas. And we're going to get into Kyle Trask here in a second. But what I want to remind everyone that's watching our show right now, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate you guys being here, whether you're Alabama fans or you're a fan of Kentucky and you just want to find out about the Tide, or you're a fan of just college football or some other team. We appreciate you being here. And, we hope that you stop back and continue to watch what we got going on. Also, right now, if you're not a subscriber to BamaInsider.com, Kyle, you got a great deal going on because it not only do you get a membership for $75, but you get a gift card to Nike for $75. So you could literally get the membership for somebody as a gift for holidays, or you could do it for yourself, or you could get them the Nike card and keep the membership, or give them the membership and keep the Nike card. But I love the idea of you buy the membership for $75 and then you get a Nike card for $75. And with, Alabama being a Nike school, you got a ton of stuff on there.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, I mean, the deal right now is pay $75 to get the subscription and get $75 in Nike gear. So now is a perfect time, kind of with that holiday season rolling around, that you can go on and sign up for an annual subscription to Bama Insider. And the promo code on that is Nike75. So there's promo codes all around on Bama Insider that you can check out. And we'd appreciate an opportunity to earn your business. We put a lot of content out on Bama Insider that's behind a paywall, stuff that you can't get everywhere else. And of course, that a lot of that is recruiting, with National Signing Day actually being now a month away. That's, it's a great time to sign up for Bama Insider. So hit me up, Kyle, at BamaInsider.com. If you have any questions, we'll put, my name and my emails in the description box. But we'd certainly love an opportunity to earn your business.
And now's the time, too. There's some great Alabama Nike gear that's out there. All right, let's talk about the games that we did have in the SEC, because each of these games had an impact on Alabama in one way or the other, right? And we're going to start at the top of the list. Instead of normally I kind of go, descendant, but I'm going to start at the top of the list because I want to get into the Heisman race between Mac Jones and the other candidates. But first off, guys, number 6 Florida won 63-35 over Arkansas. Kyle Trask had 6 touchdown passes in the game. I didn't think that Arkansas played that poorly. I just thought Florida's offense was just too much for them to deal with, Kyle.
I mean, you look at, Kyle Trask, and I definitely want to say thank you very much to Donald. I mean, he's been, time and time again, he's been one of our top super chats. So we sincerely appreciate what you do for us right here on Bama Insider. I mean, the super chats go a long way, and, you see it all across the board. But, the super chats certainly help. They helped us put Mick on board. They help us, get Trey, those Jimmy John sandwiches that we have on the game day. So we appreciate all of that coming through. Getting to Florida, I mean, I had a chance to watch Florida, and I think the first takeaway is that Florida is a lot better than I thought they were. I was kind of suspect about them overall, but after watching their offense and the way that Kyle Trask has orchestrated this offense, I mean, this is a team that I think could really give Alabama even problems down the road when those two teams, whenever they do meet in the SEC championship game. I just think that they have a lot of weapons. I really like Kyle Pitts. I think he's a type of tight end that I would love on my NFL team. I mean, he's a guy that I think is a top tight end in all of college football. And they have a lot of weapons on the outside. They have good running backs. They have a really good offensive line. In today's world, Nick Saban said this before I did. I mean, it's a game that offensives win these type of games, and Florida certainly has that type of offense to beat an Alabama. I know there's a lot of Alabama fans that aren't going to like to hear that. I'm not saying that they're going to, but I'm saying those are the type of offenses, the up-tempo, the guys that can score, the NFL-type quarterback. And I think after watching Florida, and I get it, it's against Arkansas, but I think Florida has a talent to be really dangerous down the stretch.
Trey, Arkansas is no slouch anymore.
They're not. They're not really. And it was cool to see Felipe Franks make the return to Gainesville this weekend. See his old teammates, see Dan Mullen. A team that he parted from just a year ago, and really played pretty well in this game. Arkansas hung in there. A little bit back and forth in the first half. You knew Florida was going to pull away, but I think what's most impressive about this win is you didn't have Kyle Pitts. This was a Florida offense that was rolling. A little bit depleted in this game. So just the way that Kyle Trask came out and dominated, such a weird player, because if you watch him play, you almost don't even realize how good he is. He doesn't look like he's throwing the ball very hard. He doesn't look like he's that elusive, but you look at the numbers, you look at the way he has success, and there's no denying that this kid's definitely one of the front runners for the Heisman. I don't think he's done enough to, maybe be the front runner at this point, but he's definitely building a resume for that. And, like Kyle was saying, I think when it comes down to it, Alabama doesn't want this matchup with Florida. It was, I at least was definitely leaning in favor of Georgia winning that game in Jacksonville to set up that rematch, because I think that's just the better matchup for Alabama. This Florida offense knows how to score. It's so much more mature than Georgia's offense. The defense isn't what, Georgia's defense is. It's been pretty poor this year, but it's going to be a shootout, and one that, might test Alabama a little bit. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, in terms of I'll touch on Kyle Trask first. He actually, as much of a Mac Jones guy as I am and I've been, he's my front runner right now. 28 touchdowns every single game. He throws for 4 or more touchdowns. That's crazy. That stuff. If he continues at this pace, he's got my Heisman vote. Just because that's some crazy numbers. But I think Mac Jones is right up there with him. Look, I think if you're looking at Alabama and Florida, you got the 2 best offenses in the SEC. The difference I see in the 2 teams is I think Alabama is a little bit more balanced. I think when you look at this Florida team, sure, they can pass the ball. You got Pitts, you got Trask. They can really move the ball through the air, but on the ground, they're not as efficient. And I think if Alabama can find a way to like maybe shut down the passing game a little bit or limit it, make them a little bit more one-dimensional, I could see Florida being a little bit more hurt. Then you really can't do that to Alabama, because if you try to make them a passing team, then Mac Jones is going to beat you. If you try to stop him, that way, then you open up the door for Najee Harris to kind of take over a game. So I think Alabama's a more complete offense, and I think when they play, that might be the difference in this game. But this is definitely the team in the SEC, really the only one at the moment that I think can keep up with Alabama, and that could really give them a game.
They're on a collision course for Atlanta on December 19th. How they get there, it's going to be interesting to see, because LSU and Florida have a makeup game scheduled for the 12th. I think Alabama will play LSU on the 5th, and then they'll play Arkansas on the 12th, and then they'll play Florida on the 19th, but we'll find out. One other game in the SEC that was very interesting, 2 former Nick Saban assistants went head-to-head. Now they're head coaches. South Carolina with Muschamp, and Ole Miss with Kiffin. And it was a 59-42 come-from-behind win for the Ole Miss Rebels, Kiffin. And then after the game, Coach Muschamp was fired. So that kind of has changed a lot of the way that things are going to look in the SEC, because I got a feeling South Carolina is trying to get ahead of the curve right now, Tony. I feel like they're just trying to get ahead because they know Tennessee could be looking for a head coach. Who knows who else is going to be trying to go after guys that are available out there. I'm guessing Hugh Freeze being at the top of the list, if he's even available to coach in the SEC after what happened in his time at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, look, Hugh Freeze is a hot commodity, and if South Carolina thinks they can make a play at him now, then that's the right move. It's always tough when you get rid of your head coach in the middle of the year. It's always awkward, right? But if he'd be a great hire, and you know what? I think if that's the way that South Carolina has to get him, and then that's the way that then they made the right move. Because when you look at other teams that need a Hugh Freeze, maybe South Carolina isn't the sexiest job. I mean, I know it's an SEC job, but it's a tough job. I mean, look, you're competing with, a lot of good SEC teams. You're not a premier SEC team yourself. And then you got Clemson in the same state to recruit with. It's a tough job to have, but I think it'd be great. And, it seems like the SEC is willing to let Hugh Freeze back into conference. I think it could be a good fit for both parties. If so, I think you could really see South Carolina kind of make that step back up as one of those teams you can't ignore in the East.
Trey, you're from South Carolina, and, you grew up around the Clemson-South Carolina rivalry. To me, no offense, but, I mean, when I look at the Gamecocks, I mean, I put them kind of in the same boat as Mississippi State and maybe Ole Miss and Vanderbilt and Missouri, and, where it's going to be a really tough uphill battle to try to get into the upper echelon of SEC football. And then on top of that, now you have to deal with Clemson, who's a national powerhouse. Why would Hugh Freeze even want that job?
It's interesting because South Carolina has always kind of faced that uphill battle of, trying to get to the top tier. I think back in 2010, maybe it was 2009, they made it to the SEC title game, lost to Cam Newton, but they haven't had that much success in the SEC. And, it's funny because in that Clemson-South Carolina rivalry for, I think it was 2010 to or maybe 2008 to 2013, somewhere in that window, South Carolina won 5 games in a row against Clemson. And that was Dabo's one kryptonite for the longest time until Deshaun Watson got there and flipped things around for the Tigers. But, this South Carolina team has definitely not even been able to get the recruits. They just haven't even been able to get close to that peak that they had back in 2010 when they got into the top 5. And I think it comes down to Muschamp. It's tough because that hire the contract was worked out so poorly. It was hard for South Carolina to part ways. You'd probably hang that one more on their athletic director, Ray Tanner, than anybody. that South Carolina's been when they have, because it was hard to, pay that buyout to a guy that, now isn't going to be part of your program anymore. It was interesting. I guess if I'm South Carolina, I probably would have made that move this past offseason and just eat the extra money there and, try to reset now, because you knew what schedule you're up against. But I guess at this point it makes sense. And I think Hugh Freeze would be a great hire for this program. Haven't been able to, get in the right, I guess, guy, but I think this could be it for them.
Well, you got right now, Kyle, you got Hugh Freeze at Liberty, who's 8-0. He's in the top 25, 22, beat Virginia Tech. You got Jamie Chadwell, who's at Coastal Carolina. They're ranked 15th right now, which, by the way, both of those teams are going to play at the end of the year, which should be interesting. And then you got Billy Napier with the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, right? Raging Cajuns. Who they going to hire?
I mean, obviously, I have no idea. I mean, what about, Steve Sarkisian? I mean, I don't think that, Steve Sarkisian really leaves Alabama for South Carolina, but I think that's also a name that's been kicked around. I think he's going to be a name that is always pushed around just because of what he's been able to do at Alabama the last couple seasons, and because he's a coach that I think, is out there and has really resurrected his career. You look at kind of the transformation for him at USC, where he led the Trojans and then kind of had his downfall personally, was able to go back to Alabama and then leapfrog to Atlanta as offensive coordinator. And look what he's done over the last couple of years at Alabama, has them number one in the country. I think he's going to be a head coach at some point. I think he has the credentials. I think he has everything that you would want in a head coach. I don't know if he wants to go back to the West Coast, but I think Steve Sarkisian is going to be a very hot commodity after the season. And a lot of people saying Joe Brady down in the comment box. That certainly sounds like a good name as well. But kind of just looking in our own backyard, I think Alabama has been a place that other programs have continue to come to for top tier coaches. I mean, look at the SEC right now. Jeremy Pruitt, where did he start off at? Look at Kirby Smart, Jimbo Fisher. I mean, once coached with Nick Saban. You got Lane Kiffin. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. Will Muschamp was one of those disciples as well. So my point is, once you've been with Nick Saban and you kind of have a little bit of the process, your name is always going to be mentioned with these jobs. And I think Steve Sarkisian is a coach that needs a high-paying job, a job that is big time. You look at other jobs that are kind of out there potentially. I mean, this isn't out there just yet, but I think when you kind of look at other programs that could lose their coach out of the season, another one is Michigan. So who are the big-time programs that can pay Steve Sarkisian the big-time money? Because he's already making big-time money as an assistant coach at Alabama, 2.7, which makes him the highest-paid assistant in the country.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And don't be surprised if Muschamp doesn't come back and coach for Nick Saban some way, somehow, right? I mean, he's got the basically the spots where all these guys seem to go after they don't do too well, like Sarkisian, and now all of a sudden, you're right, Sarkisian could be a hot name. I just don't see it at South Carolina. If I'm him, I mean, I've coached at USC. I'm going to wait for the bigger job to open. The only other game in the SEC, guys, was Kentucky and Vandy. It was a 38-35 win for the Cats. They're 3-4 on the season. They're playing this all SEC schedule. Vanderbilt hasn't won a game yet. And the reason I bring that up is because, 3 o'clock on Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium, it's going to be Kentucky and Alabama. And we're going to see the Cats, who normally play pretty good defense. They had a tragic loss this week. John Schlarman, their offensive lines coach, passed away from cancer. He had a battle with cancer, and it was an emotional game for them against Vandy. So thoughts and prayers to him, condolences to his family, and, that's a team that's coming in. That's a tough job, too. I mean, throw Kentucky in there with South Carolina. It's not a place in the SEC where you're going to come in and win a bunch of games, but I got to give this Kentucky program credit because, they've been steady since Mike Stoops took the job. And we're going to see him for the first time in Tuscaloosa, Kyle.
Hey, you know what? I have some very good audio from Stoops' his press conference today. Remember, he was the first to, get a hold of Mac Jones back when he committed to Kentucky. That was way back in 2016. And I put out a tweet this morning. I mean, 2016, this guy is committed to Kentucky, talking about Mac Jones. And now in 2020, Mac Jones is a 5-2 favorite to win the Heisman Trophy at Alabama. So here's that audio from Stoops talking about Mac Jones.
Out the way you all had hoped, but you were the first staff to kind of identify Mac Jones as a recruit. What did you like about him then? And did you see this kind of potential in him all the way back when he was committed to you guys?
Without a doubt, we did recognize Matt early on in the process, and Coach Henshaw and all of us watched him early. And we were impressed. We felt like there was a bright future for him, and he's certainly proven us right. I wish he was here, but we still really love Matt and his family. A great young man, and it's really good to see him doing so well and playing at such a high level. He's been so accurate. I wish he was here, but happy for Mac.
Yeah, great audio there, Tony. And we don't, you don't really think about Alabama and Kentucky battling for, football prospects, but it's happened before. I mean, I'm thinking like Damian Harris, right, was a big battle that they had. And then, and then Mac Jones here.
Yeah, Jedrick Wills too is from Kentucky as well, so he was kind of considering them as well. But yeah, and I think there was a I guess large contingency that when he did commit to Alabama and decommitted from Kentucky that he'd never play at Alabama, and that I'm sure he got a lot of that. This is a kid that came in with Tua Tagovailoa. You look at the path to starting; it was a lot easier at Kentucky. So it's got a sting from a Kentucky standpoint that not only did you have this kid kind of choose the other team, but he made it the way that you thought he was going to make it, and so it's Kentucky saw Mac like you heard in that audio clip. Kentucky saw Mac before a lot of people saw Mac, and and they were right. He's done amazing at Alabama. He's a Heisman contender, and now they're going to get the chance to see him up close again. And I'm not sure they're going to be too happy with the result. But from a Kentucky standpoint, can you just imagine what if Mac Jones was the quarterback from Kentucky? How much more successful would they have been? Kentucky had some good teams a while back. If this Mac Jones was on some of those teams, maybe with a Snell 2 years ago, I mean, like that Kentucky offense, that team could have been pretty good.
Yeah, you make a good point, too. I mean, they've been playing, not this year as much, but the last couple of years, like they had to play with a quarterback. A receiver at quarterback, and they've had a bunch of issues in that area. But now you look at Mac, and he's one of four that are at 5-2 odds right now to win the Heisman Award. I mean, kind of going back to Mac and the Heisman Award one more time. You got him, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Kyle Trask. We talked about Kyle Trask, who had the country to himself this week because of COVID. But you put those four guys in there. And it was a former Kentucky football player, to be honest, guys, that kept telling me this summer. It's one of our family friends. He's like, hey, I'm telling you, this guy can play quarterback. I didn't see it coming, but, you look at the graphic on there. I think Mac Jones is as good as any of those guys. Mel Kiper has him as a late first round, maybe mid first round pick right now, and that can change. And the only knock against him he had is that he just hasn't started that many games, right? But you look at the list of those guys, and they're all quarterbacks, and they're all having tremendous years. I feel like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are at a disadvantage, Kyle, just because of the fact that they're dealing with, COVID for Lawrence and Fields not playing as many games.
Yeah, first of all, I want to give another shout out to Daniel for the super chat. We really appreciate it, Daniel. And he's like, how about Butch Jones of South Carolina? I think Alabama fans, like, if they could get rid of Butch Jones in some capacity. But you have to remember, before I get to the quarterback question, Butch Jones, get this, is making $57,000 per week still from Tennessee, and that runs out in February of 2021. So Butch Jones is sitting nice and comfortably. You actually see him walking through my neighborhood a couple times, and he looks fantastic.
Is he one of your neighbors?
No, I don't think so, but he looks like he has zero blood pressure. He looks like just happy as a clam, and I would be too if I was making $57,000 per week. Getting back to the quarterback question, thank you so much. We appreciate the super chat. All super chats, are sincerely appreciated. I think when you look at, this graphic right here, put together by our wonderful BamaInsider graphic team, all of them have played, 6 games besides Justin Fields, and I'm kind of curious to see why he has those same odds of 5-2. I mean, Ohio State still has to play some football games, and they really haven't played anybody to, that has been very difficult. Would they play Penn State, Nebraska? I mean, that doesn't really tell me much. Rutgers, I think, is the other team. So what, just like Tony was saying earlier, though, the numbers that Kyle Trask has put up, 28 touchdowns in 6 games. I mean, that's like NCAA football 2014, which I still play, by the way. Those are ridiculous numbers. Now, one thing that I do like about Mac Jones is his efficiency. You look at 75.5%. He has a rating of 210, which I think is the highest through 6 games. I mean, outside of Justin Fields, who's only played 3. Trevor Lawrence is going to have his day, and he's going to have another shot in the limelight. They're going to have another opportunity against Notre Dame at some point, but it's a great field. I mean, this is a quarterback award, as we know, going forward. And I know Najee Harris, has his campaign, and rightfully so. He's been eating as well with 14 touchdowns. But when you look at this board right here, Trask certainly stands out with the season that he's been having, but don't sleep on Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's going to be right there. I mean, it's a great quarterback field. And, I think we would all be happy if either one of these quarterbacks landed up on our NFL teams on Sundays.
Yeah, Trey, you're in school right now. So, hold on, Tony. You're in school right now. And guys, 72 of 83, that's 86%, Trey. I mean, like if you got 86% in one of your classes, you feel pretty good about yourself. This guy's like completing about every pass he throws.
Yeah, no, I'd be feeling pretty good. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of a weird thought now. I'm getting to that age of where it's I look down the list here. Mac Jones is my age. Justin Fields is my age. Trevor Lawrence is younger, and Kyle Trask. Man, how are these kids doing this? Look at the numbers. But, I think 2 of these guys have eliminated themselves just by situation. It's nothing against them. I think the COVID is going to come back to bite Trevor Lawrence. Missing those 2 games, those 2 key games. If nothing else, missing that Heisman moment that probably would have come against Notre Dame. And Justin Fields just not being able to play as many games this season. He's not going to have the chance to get the stats there. His, percentages will look similar, maybe even better just because of the, the fewer numbers. But, I think it's going to come down to two quarterbacks in the SEC. And I think, right now, obviously, if the season were to end, you got to give it to Mac Jones.
Well, not Tony. He said he's going to vote for Kyle Trask.
Yeah,
and look at Trask has got 28 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, Tony. I mean, it's
that's
hard to argue
why.
against those numbers.
Yeah, so the touchdowns, I mean, look, before I get into Kyle Trask, the touchdowns are the only thing he has over Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones has a higher completion percentage, more yardage, less interceptions, and a better quarterback efficiency rating. But, I mean, those 28 touchdowns, that's so, cartoon numbers that it's not real. It's video game numbers, and if he continues at the touchdown pace, he's close enough to Mac at all the other stats that number is. I mean, look, he's got twice as many touchdowns basically as everybody else. I think when you look at just what they've done over per game, Justin Fields is the best, but he's done it against 3 terrible teams. And is he really going to get enough? Is he going to get enough games to really make up the stats? I mean, look, if Justin Fields continues on this pace, 86% over 8 games, then give it to him. I just think that that's going to balance out a little bit, starting maybe this week with Indiana, who I'm still not sure about Indiana, but I think that they're going to do better against Justin Fields than the other 3 teams he's played. Trevor Lawrence seems to be the 4th guy out on this list for me. He can have a chance if obviously he's Trevor Lawrence. He's got the best name appeal. He's putting up great numbers himself. And if he gets a chance to kind of have that redemption game, even though he didn't play against Notre Dame, if he gets a chance to play and beat Notre Dame and get Clemson into the playoff, I think you could maybe see him get in there. When it comes to Mac and Kyle, though, I think it's going to come down to the SEC championship game. Kyle Trask can have 50 touchdowns, whatever you want him to have. If he loses another game and is outperformed by Mac Jones, and he has 2 losses, Mac's undefeated with the number 1 team, you know how the Heisman works. I mean, they like to give it to a winner as well. And I think that especially if Mac beats Kyle head-to-head, I could see it going to Mac. I just think if it was right now, my whole thing with Kyle Trask is if it's right now, those 28 touchdowns, man, how do you not? And that's why I was saying it just as of this week. I think it's crazy at least 4 touchdowns in every single game in 6 games. That's nuts.
You're saying right now you would give it to him, but you're not at the end of the season.
I think it's going to come down to that SEC championship game. If and that's why it could go to Mac Jones, because I think Alabama's going to win that game. So it'll be interesting. It'll be kind of like Tebow Ingram, or where they played in the championship game, and the winner of that game was probably not only going to go, to the national championship game, but also probably win the Heisman as well. So it'll be interesting.
That's what happened the 2009 SEC title game, and it was Mark Ingram, the first ever Alabama Heisman Trophy winner. Before we get into anything else, first off, I want to, again, thank all of you guys that are watching right now on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Give us the thumbs up, guys. We really appreciate it. It's easy to do. Just go down and hit that little thumbs up button. For all of you that are watching, we appreciate that more than you know. Subscribe to our channel. I mean, the growth that we've had here has been incredible, and it's because of you. This channel's for you. We do these shows for you, so that's free, and it's easy to do. Subscribe to the channel, whether you're an Alabama fan or you just like college football or you just like hanging out. We appreciate you being here for Monday Night Quarterback. And the other thing, and I mentioned this earlier tonight, I want to remind you again, with the holiday time coming, we've got one of the best deals that we're going to have all year for BamaInsider.com. That's going to get you all your recruiting coverage with Andrew Bone. The signing day's coming, right? And you're going to want to know how things are going to pop back in and pop out, because a lot of these guys are committed. Are they going to stay on board? Who's Alabama going to sign? There's always a lot of late drama. Andrew Bone's our recruiting expert. He always does a great job as far as explaining that to you. Right now is a tremendous deal. You get a $75 gift card for a one-year purchase of BamaInsider.com. So basically, you buy the year membership and you get the gift card to Nike. You get to go on there and gear up, whether you're an Alabama fan or whatever. But check that out right now. It really is a fantastic deal. And, you can give that as a gift. Maybe you want to keep the Nike stuff for yourself. Maybe you want to give the Nike stuff away and keep the membership. However you want to do it, you could do it and keep both, or you could split it up as a gift. But, with the holiday time coming, that Nike store has a ton of Alabama stuff. And, of course, Alabama is a Nike school. So, I go in my closet and I got just a bunch of really cool Alabama gear.
Let me chime in here real quick. I mean, it's a great deal. I mean, definitely sign up for Bama Insider. We'd love an opportunity to earn your business, get behind that premium paywall, become an annual subscriber. And I get a lot of people that are like, nope, I'm not buying Nike. No way. And I'm like, okay, well, how about you buy an Adidas Nike, an Adidas football Alabama jersey? You know what I'm saying? So like Mick's right. I mean, whatever your brand is, I mean, they're licensed through Nike. So I get it. If you don't like Nike, you can also check out Converse. I mean, I wear Converse. So, Nike, Converse, whatever is at Nike.com. And that's kind of how the deal works. So don't feel like you have to be handcuffed to Nike.com.
Yeah.
You get your Alabama gear, you can get Converse, and plenty of stuff to check out. So definitely head on over to BamaInsider.com and check out our latest flash sale going on.
I'll take anyone's free Nike stuff too. If you
don't want it,
if it's all, I'll take it. So you can also give it to me. So.
Guys, you know what? The injury to Jaylen Waddle against Tennessee, I mean, it was a heartbreaker because he's a first-round pick. He's one of those talented receivers, one of the four guys who last year made up maybe the best receiving class that we'll ever see on one college football team. But, he was kind of our punt kick returner. He was a great receiver. He's a playmaker. And he got his ankle broke against Tennessee, just kind of a freak play. Tony, he is getting the cast off. And I don't know. I mean, am I wishful thinking? Because I'm starting to feel like maybe there's a chance we might see this guy again. Is there a chance?
I think there's a chance, but I think I wouldn't hold your breath just yet, right?
Oh, come on.
I think, if they get to the playoff, I think that there's a chance. And I think really when you look at this situation, from what I've seen, it's more of a be happy for Jaylen Waddle because I think he's going to hit the offseason in stride. And so I don't think this is going to affect his draft status at all. I think he'll be able to show out and perform well in front of scouts and really show himself off. Now, I'm not counting the mere fact that we're even having this conversation is interesting, and it's a real credit towards Alabama's medical team. And I think anything's possible. Look, we've seen some crazy stuff happen, and just players returning. Look at Terrell Lewis and Christian Miller, how they came rose from the dead that season and both came back. So. Never say never, but I'm not. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go betting on it just yet. I think it's a possibility, though.
Kyle, do you have a nugget for us that Jaylen Waddle is going to be back this year?
No, I don't. I saw everything on social media yesterday or the day before, whenever it was. Here's my take on Jaylen Waddle. Look, I mean, I've always said, I mean, you guys have watched all our content right here. I feel he's the most explosive player in college football, period. I know a lot of people like Rondell Moore out of Purdue, but I just don't think it's the same type of guy. And that's just my opinion. Now, let me play devil's advocate here because I know there's a lot of Alabama fans that feel that if he is healthy, he'll just automatically come back. Okay. You're talking about a guy who's about to be a multi-millionaire and a guy that, you know, if he comes back for a playoff game or two, how much is he really going to improve his stock? Right. Because from the mock drafts that I've seen, and I'm sure you guys have checked out your mock drafts as well. I mean, Jaylen Waddle keeps floating anywhere from the top 8 to top 15. I mean, that's a lot of cash that Jaylen Waddle is going to make. Now, the other point is, and kind of how I look back at the Citrus Bowl, is when we were covering Jerry Jeudy. And Jerry Judy's like, why would I not play? And that's, you know, maybe Waddle has that mindset. And I think, you know, hearing him from the player interviews, I mean, I don't know Jaylen Waddle personally, but I'm just kind of putting things together that I think Jaylen Waddle, if he had the opportunity to come back, if he does make strides to come back, then I think he would come back and be a part of this playoff group. I have no idea where he's at health-wise. But like Tony was saying, you know, I think Alabama has the best resources in the country. They have the new strength and science. They have Dr. Matt Ray. They have David Ballou. I mean, Nick Saban, what he's done at Alabama, these guys, this is an NFL type, maybe even better than an NFL type training facility that these guys have access to. First level, next level science stuff we haven't even dreamed of, stuff we're not even seeing. So, you know, Jaylen Waddle's a world-class athlete. I hope you know that he comes back and he's even better than he was before. Will we see him in the playoffs? I have no idea. It's something that we're going to talk about every single week probably, and people are going to continue to ask, is Waddle back? Is Waddle back? I would just you know, hope and pray that he does come back and he makes a full recovery. But if he is ready by the playoffs, I would certainly say that, you know, we'll probably see Jaylen Waddle, but just we don't know just yet.
You know, and Jaylen Waddle hasn't won a national championship. You know, he's one of the guys on the team that hasn't won one. So that's an interesting thing to point out as well. How much is that important to him? So if it is a playoff race, maybe you consider that if he can come back and help win that national championship, because he came in after. So just another wrinkle to this, I guess.
Is it still the case that every single recruiting class for Nick Saban has won a national championship?
I'd have to go back and look. Yeah, I guess, right? We're teetering, but yeah.
So it's been, I mean, they won 2 years ago, right? 3 years ago. So that'd be interesting. But there was a point, I mean, you know, that every recruiting class had won a national championship, you know. So it'd be interesting to see if that's the case, but I'd love to see him win one. Trey, explain to these guys why he's going to come back, because you young guys heal faster.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's devastating that, you know, I don't want to say devastating that there's hope, but you don't want to rush this by any means. Like Tony, like Kyle are saying, you know, this is a very serious injury. This guy's ankle. This is his moneymaker. And you know, I think there is a possibility. We've seen crazier things. You know, we saw Jamar Chase last year, very similar situation, come back for the national title. You know, we could see that, but if I'm Coach Nick Saban, if I'm, you know, on staff here, I don't think we do it. I just, for his health and safety, like Tony said, hit the offseason in stride, you know, get as healthy as you can, you know, if it means for the next level or if it means for another year at Alabama. But it wouldn't, I just don't know if it'd be worth the risk for Jaylen Waddle. That's a serious injury. And, you know, the rehab is next level. The program that they're putting him through, I'm sure, is, you know, above a standard even. But it's just too much to risk, I think, you know, too fast. But it's crazy to think that there's technology that exists that, you know, maybe gives us the possibility for that. And I think if it was up to Jaylen Waddle, he would, you know, come back for even the SEC championship, because he's just that kind of guy. And I think he's going to work to get healthy fast, but I just don't think it's worth the risk.
I'd love to see him come back, but, you know, we'll definitely see as the weeks move on. All right, guys, final topic tonight on Monday Night Quarterback is Alabama and LSU. We keep hearing rumblings, Kyle, including one of your Nuggets, that you got information that this game's going to be made up December 12th. Alabama will flip the Arkansas game back to, December 5th, and then Arkansas will flip back to December 12th. Well, when are we going to hear an official announcement on that? Because it sounds like Ed Orgeron was talking about it today. You know, Alabama wants to play LSU, especially when they're going to be like a 24-point favorite, and after what happened last year.
Sure. I think, I guess now that the SEC has a rule that they can change things up to that Monday of the game, and we're continuing to see games that are postponed, rescheduling. So just for confirmation, I have heard through my sources that Alabama and LSU are going to, that game is going to be rescheduled for, I don't have the date in front of me. I can pull it up at some point.
December 5th would be the day.
Okay, December 5th. Yeah, and if you kind of play around with some of those dates and play around with LSU's schedule, you could see how it could make sense because LSU does not have a game on December 19th, which would be the SEC championship. So you can kind of, noodle with their schedule a little bit. Ed Orgeron said during, his press conference today that, he's heard that as well. He doesn't know if there's an exact makeup time. There's been other people besides myself that has heard that this game, is somehow going to be played. And thank you very much again, Donald. We really appreciate the super chat. That really means a lot to us. A double super chat tonight. We really appreciate it. So thank you very much. We appreciate that one more time. So I guess we'll just have to stay tuned. But, the SEC, it's all fluid. And that's something that Ed Orgeron said. Now, does he want to play Alabama? I mean, of course, he's going to say that they want to play Alabama, but he's going to do everything he can to dodge and weave Alabama because Nick Saban has something really bad coming for him. And let me put this to you guys before my next point or before we kick the ball around. Is it really beneficial for Alabama to even play LSU? I was talking with Tony earlier today, and I mean, what do they really gain for it, right? Because if, let's say, Alabama doesn't play LSU, they're going to have 2 weeks to prep for that SEC championship game, whereas Florida would have to, play on that December 12th and have a short turnaround time for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So while we all want to see Alabama and LSU, maybe the best thing for Alabama is to get another open week to get some prep for that SEC championship game.
I hope they play. I mean, look, I get it. I mean, like, it would be great to have a week off, but it would also be great to break one off on Ed Orgeron and LSU, right, Trey? I mean, you're a student right now. Don't you want to see that?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is, going back to our conversation on Friday night. I know you're very enthusiastic about this, Mick. I am too. It was disrespectful what happened last year. It wasn't right. But at the end of the day, I gotta reside with Kyle here. I think this game is unnecessary. It's, you're opening the door for injuries, whatever else. The possibility that something crazy happens and you don't even win the game. I think at this point, if you're Alabama, there's a general consensus that you're going to win this game handily. I think with all things considered, how 2020 has gone, let's just move on to this SEC title game and go get a big win over the Florida Gators.
I can't believe you guys. Tony,
how does the Ole Miss Texas A&M game that got postponed affect this too? Because that kind of plays into it at least a little bit, right? Because part of the whole scenario that we're talking about, right, would be that Alabama would move its game from Arkansas to the following week. So Alabama, Arkansas would be on the 12th. Alabama, LSU would be on the 5th. You got to look at it from LSU's perspective too. Their game against Ole Miss would be on the 19th. Would that still work? Because that last week you had Tennessee and Texas A&M both get postponed. So wouldn't that game then go to the 12th? And then would Texas A&M be able to play? When's Texas A&M going to make up their game against Ole Miss? Because if you look at it that way, so if Texas A&M needs to make up 2 games, then are they going to play on the 12th? And then how will they make up their game against Ole Miss if they're playing Tennessee on the 12th? It gets really complicated. Look, if you really want this Alabama game to happen,
maybe LSU should just, since they've been in so much trouble off the field, they should just get a spanking and they can't play a game and you just kind of move forward. And that's kind of their,
I don't know. Yeah.
You're letting them off.
It's really easy to see that. What I'm trying to get at is it's really easy to see this from an Alabama perspective, but you got to look at it every time you have one of these games. It's like 4 teams are affected because it's like, not only do you have to, change the game, you have to change different parts, like putting together a puzzle piece, and you have to have these perfect scenarios. So right now this scenario still works, but we've already seen 1 game get canceled this week. If more games get canceled, the window for this scenario that we have, it's a perfect scenario, it kind of closes and it might not happen. So this is one possibility that might happen, but at the same time, when you look at it, it's not guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, look, one final time through, I'm going to let you tell us what you got going on before we close up shop on Monday Night Quarterback. Tony, starting with you.
Yeah, well, we do have a game, knock on wood. We do have a game this week, and so we'll have game coverage, actual game on Saturday. I'll be interested in inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'll get to watch football that has Alabama in it. I'll have my Friday feature this week, and we'll have the same usual coverage, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of normalcy in this week, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. What about you, Trey?
Yeah, another good week of some work coming up. School is starting to get a little bit more intense with finals around the corner here. So just looking to finish strong in the classroom. We got Friday night. We got our Friday night tailgate show coming up on Friday. Excited for that one. We had to miss it this last week. We got some calls and everything. It was still a great show, but it's going to be great to get back in the studio and do it for real. And hopefully some football on Saturday. What do you got, Kyle?
All right. I'm giving all the super chat shout outs tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So Cam Best, thank you so much. He's like, Orgeron going to get his teeth knocked out. He steps in the ring.
That's what I say, man. That's what I'm
smoke
saying.
A big O. All right. So Cam, we appreciate it, man. And Cam, thank you so much for the call. And I look forward to catching up with you on Wednesday. That'll be my next call-in show. So tomorrow night we got Andrew Bone, and Andrew Bone might have a special guest on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that, because I think you guys will be pretty shocked about who we're going to have Bone paired up with. And that could be dropping on Tuesday. So make sure you hit that subscription button so you can always be notified when we drop videos right here on Bama Insider. I got my call-in show on Wednesday night. We'll be talking team, and we'll be kind of looking at this next week and kind of everything that's going on with Alabama Crimson Tide. Thursday night, we'll also have a show with Mick Gillespie, probably NFL centric or something like that. So stay tuned for that. And then just like Trey said, we got the Bama Insider Tailgate show with Mick Gillespie. And then on Saturday, we've got college football again from beautiful Bryant-Denny Stadium. So very busy and thankful for that. And, so much to be grateful for in a year that's been, I know, difficult for a lot of people to navigate towards. So it's great to have football and college football kind of as a, weekend look forward to, because, 2020 has been everything that you didn't think it was going to be.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you know what? We're having fun here talking football. Guys, a couple things that I want to promote. First off, I did a podcast with Max Howe that has been an adventure for me to get online for you guys. So please go and download and listen to it. Max, of course, former recruiting coordinator for Bobby Bowden. He's from South Alabama. He was at Ole Miss as a coach as well. And then he was on radio for a long, long time. He still is doing different stuff. But he's been in SEC radio for a long, long time and been in coaching even longer than that. He's a great guy. And that's on our Bama Insider podcast channel, Spotify, has it, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Just download it and listen, and we're going to keep doing that every Sunday night. Kyle talked about the Bama Insider Tailgate Show. Friday, we're going to be at Rounders on the Strip. Rounders on the Strip. I'm talking about 6 to 8 on Friday night. I'm going to have these calendars from Daniel Moore. I'm going to be giving those out. If you come by and say, hey, man, I listen to you guys, watch you guys, I'm going to give you those. We'll have some Yingling swag. I got these footballs from Andrew Kniffer. Got a lot of swag to give away. The show's brought to you by Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Kyle knows that's good stuff. So that's Friday night. We got all the different things that we're doing. We're going to podcast those as well. We'll continue to do our NFL show. I'll get back here on Thursday night and we'll just talk Bama football and kind of update us on what's going on there. But what we're going to try to do on this YouTube channel is just continue to pump with content and talk a lot about Alabama and just kind of the things that go around college football that affect Alabama as well. And I want to remind you one more time that as you start to plan Thanksgiving's coming quick, and then you're going to have Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holiday that you celebrate. You got a gift to give. I'm telling you, the gift of BamaInsider.com is a great gift. $75 right now gets you a year membership, and then you get a $75 gift card to the Nike store that you can use in a lot of different areas. I'm telling you, it's a great deal. It's like getting it for free. So you give the membership to somebody. If you already have one, maybe you keep that. if you're watching right now and you want to know the latest on recruiting and everything else, Kyle's got those nuggets. I mean, always ahead of the game. Tony's got a lot of great stories on there as well. We appreciate that. And, and Terry says, I remember Max Howe from 680. That's right. He's been around a long time. But Max and I did that podcast, so check it out. But any which way we tell you, we love you guys, and we appreciate you being here for our show tonight. And we're just excited that Alabama and Kentucky are going to kick this thing off on Saturday, and we got football to talk about. So for Tony and for Trey and for Kyle, I'm Mick Gillespie. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you again real soon. Roll Tide.